Hey, as you know, we're going to be able to reconvene our Sunday morning services on June 7th, but there's a few things that are going to be a little different. Number one, we've reconfigured the sanctuary and the fellowship hall to be able to provide the proper social distancing. You see, we have these long aisles here, or these long rows, and we have very wide aisles. And so this is how it's going to work. Family units can be together. We know that. And so a family of 3 here, 2 blank seats, a single person, couple blank seats, a couple, some blank seats, and that's how we're going to facilitate that. In a moment, I'm going to take you into the fellowship hall and show you what's going on in there, but as we come in here, we have 151 seats in the sanctuary. We have 18 right outside the sanctuary in the transition between here and the fellowship hall. Then we have about 75 in the fellowship hall set up in the same format. And so we have ample room for many, many people to come with proper social distancing. Fortunately, we have not been restricted to a set number like 50 or below or 100 or below. Our mayor has asked if we could have the proper physical distancing, then there's no limit on the number. And we really feel that the Lord's just calling us to try to be as obedient as possible, because we are admonished in Romans 13 to submit to those in authority over us, because God's the one who placed them there. And to have physical distancing is not asking us to violate any biblical principles. So we just want to have a good testimony to our community. So when you come in, be ready to look. We have some ushers that are going to be helping, but you can easily look and say, okay, there's some people sitting 2 seats over, we can sit. 2 seats over, we can sit. So I look forward to seeing those of you that come on June 7th. We just really feel led by the Lord to be obedient and be good testimonies and being able to follow the requests that are put down to us. And so some of those requests are very inconvenient, and some of them, it doesn't really matter. One thing that's inconvenient is wearing a mask. Most of us by this time, we're not looking forward to wearing masks, but we're being asked to. It doesn't violate any biblical principles. And so when you come, we're asking you, please wear a mask when you come into the facility. If you have a medical condition that prohibits you from wearing a mask and you have an exemption, then you don't have to wear a mask. We're not going to mandate something that is not required, and we're not going to ignore something that is required. So we're required without a medical exemption to wear a mask. We're going to do that. And if you see someone without a mask, it's not your job to quiz them, question them, ask them what their motive is, if they have a medical exemption. That's between them and God. And most of us would prefer not to wear a mask. So if we want to scam the system and say we have a medical condition and we don't, that's between us and God too. So let's not be the Holy Spirit. Let's not be the judge, jury, and executioner. Let's just go forward, wear a mask if you don't have a medical condition. That's not only the proper thing to do from what we're being asked to do, it's also a polite thing to do and respectful thing. We're not going to get into debates of validity of masks. We're going to just stick with what the Bible tells us to do and to submit to those in authority over us. That'll be a good testimony. We can't exercise biblical authority if we don't submit to authority. And I want to be able to plant good seeds of obedience. Another thing we've been asked to do is provide sanitizer at the entries and exits. We're going to have those. You're not required to use it, but again, we just want to have a good testimony, and it's going to be there. Another thing that's been asked of us is not pass a physical offering plate, or we use the baskets. And so we're going to have boxes. This is one of them. There's 2 others that are slightly different sizes, but we'll have 3 offering boxes that'll be labeled around the main part of the building, and you could just put your tithes and offerings in there. Of course, you can still give electronically or text, but we're not going to pass an offering plate. We won't have bulletins available. There's really not much going on outside of all the activities we have every single week. They're not reinstated yet, but we will have notes available so you can take notes. And so those are some of the changes. Here's another change in this transition period. We're not going to have children's church during the service at this time, and we're not going to have youth ministry during the service at this time. We have a team working on being able to properly re-engage those ministries on Sundays, but right now we're not equipped to do that. Also, we're going to have 2 services, one at 8 a.m. and one at 10 a.m. And then the folks who come at 8, it's going to be about an hour-long service or so, and then you just exit. Not a lot of availability to hang out and fellowship for a long time, unfortunately. And then at 10 o'clock, folks will come in. We're not restricting who comes to what service. Some people have asked if they needed to get on a list to be able to get in. As I said in another video, we're not restricted on our numbers right now. So we're just going to trust that the Lord's going to help us go with the ebb and flow of this. If we get to where we're maxed out in each of those services and we cannot provide proper distancing, then we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Because there's no children's church, children, if families come with children, you'll have to be together in the sanctuary or here in the fellowship hall. You can see we've set the fellowship hall. We took out all the round tables because the suggestion is that's not a good setup to have in this transitionary season. So we took those out and made a mini kind of same as the sanctuary in here. And we're going to put a little bit bigger of a TV up there so you can see better. Also, we're not going to have our kitchen open on Sundays for a season. I don't know how long yet. Or we're not going to have our beverage bar open right now on Sunday mornings, because those 2 ministries, they create a little bit of a bottleneck, and we wouldn't be able to ensure proper physical distancing. And we just, like I said earlier in a video, we really just want to be a good testimony to our island neighbors. You can bring drinks with you. You can bring even munchies for the kids with you. No problem. We just can't facilitate that now. At this time, we still have our food pantry stuff set up in the back of the fellowship hall. And if anyone is in need of dried goods, canned goods, supplies, they can gather that on their way out. There'll be a time probably that we won't be able to facilitate that on Sundays in the near future, mainly because of just space issues. So, hey, look forward to seeing you guys on June 7th. Aloha.